From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. Hey, James, how are you today? It's good to be back, and I'm looking forward to another episode with you.
Oh, great to be back, Steve. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. If you didn't catch our last episode, we celebrated our 4-year anniversary of Ask the Programmer. So please tune in to episode 208 so you could hear a little bit about the background of this podcast, as well as some of the things that we see us discussing moving forward, and how we're looking to help to grow this community and the audience that we've built. And we appreciate everyone out there listening. So please continue to do so, and please continue to share your favorite episode. With that said, we have a topic that we wanted to share today, and it's about how do you manage changes, whether it's client changes, whether it's changes in scope. Could be, a salesperson changing things. It could be a manager changing things, and what impact does that have on a programmer? Because it's programmers tend to want to be very accommodating, but a lot of times that ends up being detrimental to their product, because code really needs to be thought through. So, James, can you talk a little bit about an experience that you've had, or how this topic is relatable?
So, yeah, it's definitely an experience I had with back east when I was programming was, you know, writing code for higher ed and, working with users. They always like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And you're like, oh, yeah, I can do that. It actually kind of reminds me of a meme I just saw this morning. It says, "How to get an engineer's attention?" And it was a pie graph, and it shows like ask a question was a very small percentage, bring them coffee was a little larger, and the biggest slice of the pie was say, "Can we improve this?" Because engineers love to tinker and improve things. Same with us programmers. We love to improve. We love to flex our programming muscle and try new things. So when a customer or a manager or whatever comes in and be like, hey, can we throw this disco ball in there? Be like, sure, why not? Let me flex my muscle. Um, that is a detrimental because we do have time crunches. We do have things we have to get done, and that can lead to sloppy code, uh, poor comments in code, just taking us out of our routine to try to please everybody.
I would wholeheartedly agree with you, and I think everybody out there should be able to relate to this topic, because you can't tell me that you haven't once been um, caught with that bug where somebody said, "Hey, it would be nice to do this," or what would it take to get this done? And programmers jump at those things because, like you said, you want to flex your muscle. And when you say that, it's not in a way where you're saying, I could do this, I'm up to the challenge, but it's more of, hey, that would be cool. Let's try it out. And that would be something that I could get done pretty quickly, or it wouldn't take a lot to do it. But I tell people a lot of times that many 5 or 10 minute changes become hours of work, and that, like you said, impacts time frame and budget. But really, what it does do, and this can have a lasting effect, is because it causes code to be sloppy. And I kind of look at this like almost like where you have a computer that's many years old, and you've done a lot of updates, and you've installed and uninstalled a lot of apps, and or a car that hasn't really had a good maintenance record. You kind of have sludge in it, and it causes you to not have the best experience. And we've talked a lot about the fact that AV programming is something that needs to be living and breathing, and is going to be modified and updated. And if you put something away, it may have made a lot of sense when you did it, but then come back to it months or longer later, you're going to say, "What in the world?" And more importantly, what it does is it kind of makes a programmer look bad because you've tried to be accommodating, you've tried to do the right thing, you've added stuff that wasn't necessarily in there, and then you get burns because maybe you introduced some bugs or code was less efficient, or somebody goes and looks at it and says, "Boy, you don't know what you're doing. Who would write code like this?" Or you made your life more difficult down the line. So it's just some things to think about. It's not that we're not going to do those things, but maybe don't do them in the moment. Maybe you just say, let me write these down. These are great ideas. And we'll talk about when we're going to update them. But right now, I need to work on what we've all agreed to do right now, for this update or for this version of the code.
Oh yeah, that is the one thing, especially like when you have a time crunch. So I know in higher ed we do have time crunches. Don't get me wrong, but I feel programmers have a little more leniency because yeah, okay, we got classrooms, we got to get going, we got to update it. But once that classroom's up and running with the code, you know, you're not making changes to production in a classroom unless there's a bug, unless there's a problem or an upgrade. So some of your time could be spent tweaking your code, doing those advanced things, when you have more time. Looking at a third party company, that's their job. They need to bang out code and get projects done to get paid. So it is a little more challenging because you don't always have that flexible time to do things.
And I'll kind of look at the fact that, we talk a little bit about how do you roll out updates. And if we're really going to be thinking about adopting some software development practices and testing in a lab and doing things, we really should try to be disciplined about making sure that when we do any sort of modifications that are not, tweaking a text on a screen or something like that, but we need to do them in a thought out way, because we owe that to our clients, to our users, so that we're not making we're not introducing bugs that weren't would never have been there if we had not been trying to do things on the fly. And
Yeah.
because you don't have that opportunity to fully test everything all the time, um, and maybe not even think through what this isolated change may have in terms of a chain reaction, and impacting other things. So I like to bring that up because we can't talk out of both sides of our mouths, that we want to have these planned updates and make sure that we do things in a more disciplined way, and then go out in the field and start taking apart the engine while we're driving it.
Oh, yes. Definitely can't be doing that. The one thing, and we can sit here, be Monday morning quarterback and say all these things. I know we said this in the past on the podcast, like, I'm a big proponent of, a sandbox environment. I've been in here in Vegas since 2022, and I haven't got my sandbox up and running yet. So I fully understand that we do that. But I just was listening to a leadership podcast episode not too long ago, where the person talks about doing 2 seconds improvements. And taking 2 seconds to do an improvement that, you may not even think it's really that it's something that you need to do, but it could improve your life drastically down the line. Like the guy who was talking about the 2 second improvement, he was talking about he lives on an island where you can't drink the water. So he has to treat his water, and he has a big jug. And he's like, "Oh, every morning I gotta carry this big jug over to the coffee maker." And he's like, one day I decided to go get a smaller jug, and I used that to fill up. He's like, It took me 2 seconds to do that. I still have my big jug. It wasn't a big investment, and now my life is easier. I can easier move the water to the locations I need with the smaller jug, while I still have the big one for all my water needs.
Yep. You know, all of that is, it, I think it's a product of being able to think with a clear head,
Mm.
not be
Yep.
under pressure, not be making decisions that are spur of the moment. We all have to do those from time to time, but when you're trying to do something that could have a big impact, giving yourself the space to think through and to come up with what would be um, an optimal solution, or not necessarily ideal, but something that is going to um, be lasting improvement. It has to be done when you're not under the gun, I think.
I agree, definitely. You can't do things under haste because that's when things get sloppy, you get messy. Um, it's the one thing. Again, folks who follow me know I coach soccer. The one thing I always try to instill in my players is, soccer is very physically demanding, endurance, running. Average soccer player does about 7 miles in a game. So that's a lot of running. Well, when you run and you get tired and all that stuff, your skills break down. So there's actually a lot of times what I'll do is I'll purposely make the kids get tired. Like I'll do running drills and endurance stuff, and then we get right into the skills so that they have to learn to focus through that tiredness, that thing that frustrate us to focus on their skills and build their foundation. So, yeah, even as programmers, like, yeah, there are gonna be times we gotta rush to get things done, but we still gotta focus through that. We can't let the pressure dictate what we do.
Yeah, I like that. That's really a really good thing to consider.
Yeah.
It's easy to operate under ideal circumstances, but let's work under real circumstances and simulate a game, or simulate what is typical a typical environment to that you have to perform your best at.
Yep.
I think that's probably a good way for us to wrap this one up. I hope that the audience can relate to what we've discussed. A lot of the discussions that we have here come from um, real world instances, and they're things that either James or I experience, or we've talked to people about, so we like to bring those to light. And if you have others that you would like to have us discuss, or you'd like to be part of that conversation, please reach out. We know that we all experience a lot of the same things. It's not much that we do here is unique. There are differences about the different programmers and the different environments that we work in, but there's a lot of that is relatable to everybody. So please reach out, and if there's something that's unique to you, that might be very interesting as well. So James, how could people get in touch with you, continue this conversation, and uh, learn more about what you're doing?
You can Google me. I'm out there. X as AV_James King. I'm on Blue Sky, AV_James King. On LinkedIn, ask the programmer community there. Again, you Google me, you'll find me.
And for me, you could reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media. LinkedIn's a great place. I'm really spending a lot of time there. And I encourage others to do so as well. It's probably the most pure social media platform for business, and I would encourage putting yourself out there and creating an identity. And as we mentioned in the last episode, more and more programmers should try to dip their toe in the water about creating more exposure for themselves. My company, Control Concepts, develops the building blocks that programmers use to either interface with products or create and provide more functionality in their systems. And we provide some free or low cost modules, drivers, and plugins on our website at controlconcepts.net. And as we move forward in our fifth year, we would like you to know that you could find us on YouTube and our video version and on your favorite podcast player in the audio format. And please check both out and leave us a rating, review, comment. We'd love to hear from you. Our numbers have been increasing, so it means that some things are going well, and we would like to continue on that trend. So please help us out with that. And until next time, this has been Ask the Programmer.